favor?
Aye.
Right. As a reminder, this meeting will be audio and video recorded. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda is Chief Fowler. If you want to grab the mic, get a couple items here.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
So first item that I have before you guys is just a quick update on the overtime deficit. As we've been discussing, the overtime line, just due to budget constraints, has been short the last several years. We're looking at, after taking into account some surpluses in some of the lines and the deficits that we have, we're looking overall at an estimated deficit of about $54,000 that will need to be worked with the finance department to figure out how we can cover that for the rest of the fiscal year. Which surprisingly is actually better than we were a year ago.
Sounds like it.
We needed a lot more last year than we have this year, so, knock on wood.
That's a job for the town administrator and finance department to see what we could pull the last 60 days of the calendar year. We can pull and do interdepartmental transfers, so
I've got a couple targets.
I'm sure that you won't be the only department.
He's the first in though.
Doesn't solve our problems, we didn't solve all the problems, but it's a better number than last year. You're 100% correct, Chief, so.
Okay.
I think that's got a lot to do with you filling shifts, right? If it wasn't for that,
Trying to help.
we would be burning up a lot more, and we had somebody out. So,
Which segues perfectly into the next one. I have been working with Mr. Kelly and Mr. Gaspar, since he's the board's rep with the fire union, to look at the contract and see what needs to be done with respect to that person that is out injured, bringing somebody in a temporary to potentially permanent spot depending on the outcome of that process. So that was item number 2, is just maybe get the board's blessing to move forward with the posting and the filling of that position. It would in essence take 48 hours that currently goes to overtime every week guaranteed and drop it down to straight time if we bring somebody in, with the caveat that if the employee comes back to work, then this temporary hire would be reduced in force, because she would be this person would be the lowest in seniority. So
Who are you drawing from, like the call firefighters?
so right now it's an internal posting.
Okay.
So it's part-time EMS and call fire, and we'll see what we really need to hire a paramedic versus just a firefighter EMT for the way we operate. If I don't get any interest from internal, I can post it externally, but again, it would have that caveat that it's
Right.
a temporary until there's an outcome with the process.
Okay.
I think that-
Are there any issues with, like, when we exit the person, if it is, if it truly is temporary, dealing with unemployment insurance and all that kind of stuff?
It would, the person would be eligible for employment. But this is a process the chief and I have been working on.
We're on a year and a half now.
And it's involved multiple boards, evaluations, etc.
Okay.
And so we are hoping that in a period of 90 days to maybe 180, that you'd be able to get through the rest of the evaluations and get through to
Right.
a good solution for all involved.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So you heard the chief talk about this he just made a comment to Mr. Kelly that this has been going on for, what, 6 to 9 months or longer?
The original.
A year and a half?
September of 2023 was the original time of
And when
injury.
Mr. Kelly referred to it, because it's an injured on duty case, we're not privy to speak publicly about anything other than what we will do today. But I think what Mr. Kelly's referring to when he talks about boards and things of that nature, it's got nothing to do with town stuff. It's doctors, physicians, and things of the like, right? That'll have to give us some documentation.
Sure.
There's some reluctancy to do that at this point. And that's why the chief is looking to fill the temporary position, a temporary position to fill that void. What do we pay right now because of the IOD insurance? They cover 40%, we cover 60%?
They cover 40, we collect, they cover 40, we cover 60.
So there's still a gap, a void there, salary-wise to fill?
Correct.
Will we be pulling that out of part-time salaries,
So right now,
the other 40%?
it comes out of career salaries right now. What we're responsible for.
You're talking for the
Oh, because the
temporary-
void, there won't be a void because we're paying only 60% of the 40 that they're paying, we put that back. I mean, you still end up with a $60,000, 60% deficit.
Correct.
So there's a void, as far as funding chief goes for the temporary position if the board so chooses, do you have that covered inside your budget under that's why I asked you if
Not in addition.
but
so
can we
what we-
cover it from part-time?
So the way that we currently do it and have done it for the last 18 months is it gets paid out as overtime. If it doesn't go through overtime, it gets paid out through the call and part-time salaries line. And that's also part of that deficit that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but we did get you as close as we could because what you faced when you took
Correct.
the chief's position with a deficit in overtime. So we're
Correct.
trying to get that through town meeting to
Correct.
give you a more appropriate line item for
Yes.
that, right? So we got a little buffer there as well. I think the only thing that we need to be careful of is to make sure that we have some, when we put the job out, for bid or whatever it may be, and then we have to make sure, and then we would have to have a memorandum of agreement signed by the town and the employee, understanding the terms of the agreement of employment. It keeps us off the hook that way down the road, so we could have town council draft something up quick on a temporary fill-in position for whoever the chief can come up with and find, to sign that along with us, agree to it and sign it, and move forward, but we don't know when it's gonna be resolved, and as the chief alluded to, could be 6 months, could be 12 months, we don't know how long we're stuck with this, but he's been dealing with it for a year and a half, which is unfair.
Getting
So,
the position filled would provide stability, and at the same time, it would actually save some cost. So right now, we pay out an overtime
Right.
rate, which is time and a half,
Mm.
versus paying a temporary hire straight time. So there's a
and you're
difference
carrying
of
40% of the extra budget, that salary already in the budget, the permanent salary, so I have no problem with it at all to help the department and help you out, chief. I have no problem with it, with the stipulations that we make sure that we have a memorandum of agreement
Understood.
written up, ready to go for the chief if he needs to, if he has the ability to hire somebody for a temporary slot to execute right away.
Understood.
All right, sounds good. So I need a motion to authorize the chief to go forward with a temporary hire process.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Step one.
Step one.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, chief. All right, we have got a couple of traffic-related items. Charlene?
Yes.
You want to go to the podium
I
and
do.
talk to you about what's going on?
Sure do. And as you said, my name is Charlene Fain, and I live on Boylston.
But
I'm
also-
a resident of
Any
Acushnet.
volunteer for us?
I do, and yes, I do. And right now, I'm so ahead in my hours that you're not using me, so don't let that happen. Use me. I want to work.
You can truly volunteer.
Anyway, that's a far from what we're talking about. We all know that the four-way stop is a bane to our existence. And being said, the traffic can be all the way down to pass the cemetery on either side, whether on Main Street, whether it's going towards, I don't know which way directions are, but anyway, either side, it doesn't matter, and South Main, obviously. So, a lot of people, including trucks, buses, vehicles, decide to cut around down Boylston Street to get to Allen, go up Allen, and get back onto Main Street. The speed limit that I understand not posted is 30 miles an hour. So I had Rick get in my car and drive down the street at 30 miles an hour. Pretty speedy, but not bad. These vehicles that are coming down the road, not all, are far surpassing the 30 mile an hour speed limit. And I'm sure the same going up Allen. Now, it'd be silly to go uphill because they're not gonna avoid any traffic that way, back up, they go up to Allen. I am proposing, and my understanding is one of the meetings that I watched on YouTube, that you, Mr. Hinckley, said that you guys are in charge of speed limits. So I am asking if we could put a posted speed limit on Boylston for a visual. I know not everybody looks at them. I look at a posted speed limit when I'm on the street, and I try and do that or lower. Not everybody would, but I would like to propose a 25 mile an hour posted speed limit on Boylston. We have a lot of traffic that walks up and down that street with kids on with the carriages, with people walking their dogs. And I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe it. Sometimes I feel my house shakes at how fast they're going down the street.
I'm sure, because they think they're smart Alex, and they say, oh, we gotta beat
Well,
the thing,
you
so
know,
we
I
gotta go
mean,
fast.
I can understand it because it can be frustrating to sit in that traffic when you're trying to get to work or trying to get home or what have you, but still, not everybody does it. I don't mean to tell you that it's an Indy 500 on Boylston, but there are many people that are over the 30 mile an hour speed limit. I don't even know if they know it's 30 miles an hour. I looked it up. I went to the police station and they told me that I should come and talk to you gentlemen, so
Sure.
I'm hoping that maybe you will consider something along
Yeah.
that line.
I mean, so we had a process for that. So
Okay.
we have a safety committee, which is the fire, police and fire chief and so on and so forth. So why don't we do this? Let's have them take a look at it.
Okay.
And then I'm sure if they think it's the right thing to do, or we can put some signage up, or I think we still have those digital speed monitors. I mean, I drive through Rochester a lot, and I say, your speed is this.
Yeah.
Or, maybe we can put some others, the digital. We've got digital signs that maybe we could put there for a while, like please slow down or something or other. So we can.
Well,
we can
Rick
take
made a
look at
sign
it.
one time that said slow down, and that didn't work.
Yeah,
Of course, it's
yeah.
not gonna work because they go, what the heck is it?
Yeah.
So, I feel your pain. We had this conversation, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, maybe longer, maybe not. Everybody up in these side streets and Niav down there, and they came in, and it was a whole bunch of them, right? And we were supposed to get a bunch of different signs and put speed limit signs, but that happens not just Boylston Street, it's all in these side streets. I mean, it's the nature of the town being over congested, and anywhere. I mean, you go anywhere in the city and you see people losing their patience and cutting side roads and like zipping up, different side streets. It's just the nature of the human being, unfortunately. But I'm all for doing whatever we can to, maybe a couple of patrols over there, at the busy times of the day.
Well, the busiest times are usually on the way to work, on your way home when the kids get out of school. I just had a bus go down. Now, whether they're circumventing the four-way stop or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
They were well past 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, and dump 10-wheelers coming down there. Now, I'm sure they're going probably to get gas, is what they're coming down Boylston and then cutting up and going uphill and then turning on Crompton to go get gas. But they're well over 30 miles an hour. I see, and I see that we do have, I did drive around today, we do have some posted 25 mile an hour on Main Street.
Sure.
And 20, but I didn't see anywhere else. I went down Main Street the other way and I didn't see anything posted.
I have no problem with one more, two more, three more, whatever we do all around in this area and everywhere, right? It happens everywhere.
Right.
I live over by White's Dairy, they fly up nicely,
Oh,
60
yeah.
miles an hour, right?
Yep.
You gotta get the police gotta get more presence there, and, it's that 4 to 5:30
And the morning, and in the morning also.
Yeah,
when people go-
I'm still sleeping.
Ah, good for you.
But that 4 or 5:30 coming up here is a pain in the neck. Coming
It
down
is.
this way is a pain in the neck. It's only little time slots, but
It is, and
what
they
it
cut,
is,
they
so.
cut down Allen Street and go up Boylston to circumvent the four-way stop.
I've been stuck in that traffic. I mean, honestly, on balance, might add 5 minutes to the thing, you know, like.
And I'm sure fortunately, I'm retired, except when y'all use me, so I don't have to go that way if I don't have to go that way.
Right.
But I do see if I come out up to Boylston, up to Maine, and I take a right, not a left, that traffic is crazy. And at 4 or 5 o'clock starting now, it'll be all the way down, backed up. And I believe it's probably more than 5 minutes.
Now, with Hamlin Street open, use that as I did that the other day, as a matter of fact.
That's what Rick keeps saying, I gotta
Use
do.
Hamlin, you know. well,
Gotta do that.
so, not you, but I'm saying in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
Like, I think people have
Yeah, I
gotten so
have to-
preconditioned to going that way.
I
But we'll
do.
send this off to the safety committee. Is there a motion to send off to the safety committee?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and how will I know anything?
We will keep you
We'll
posted.
Thank you.
keep in touch with you, and we got plenty of work for you. Just so you know.
Well, come on. She told me she couldn't because I was
I know
over.
where you're at now. I'll go to Boylston Street and have
You
a
just come
conversation with you.
on. My backyard is a cemetery. We can sit there and have a nice, quiet conversation.
Deal.
My neighbors are wonderful.
Deal.
Good neighbors.
Thank you,
All
Jackie.
right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Charlene.
All right, next item. Same thing. From Chief Carew. He's concerned about the fundraising activity at the four-way stop sign. You know, I've seen it over the years. He's asking for some guidance, but he expressed to me real concerns over safety, where you've got young kids in the middle of the street going back and forth, adults. It just seems like it's a recipe for disaster, and I know it's South Main Street, so technically it's Mass Highway, like, you know, it's a highway, it's a state-owned road, and it should be treated as such. But, you know, I think we gotta offer him some guidance, because I'm sure there's some groups who, but I just don't think we can be, me personally, I hate to curtail people raising funds, but say it's just a matter of time before somebody gets hurt over there. But anyway, that's my feeling on it.
Mr.
Just
Chairman,
looking for some
if I
guidance.
may.
Yeah.
I've had a couple conversations with Chief Carew on this in regards to people complaining. For every easy, smooth fundraiser out there, there's children in different organizations running across the street,
Yeah.
stopping traffic and stuff like that. You can't single them out either, so if you allow one organization to
Yeah.
go, you have to allow all of them.
Yeah.
There are some guidelines, you know, you have to make sure that, you're supposed to make sure that children aren't in the street and you're not actually in the roadway doing it too, but then again, once they get approval, it's not like they can have a detail sitting here for 2 hours doing it. Being the busiest intersection, I can see the draw, why people would want to be here, but I can also see from the police standpoint
Right.
how dangerous it can be.
Right. I mean, I don't know, when I was growing up playing Little League Baseball and all of a sudden we had tag day, we would go out in front of a, you know, grocery store or a convenience store. We didn't do any of that stuff, so, you know, I'm concerned about the safety of people, and I hate to see something happen on our watch, so I don't know if how the board feels about it, but I'm inclined to, you know, whatever the legality is, Jamie, to prohibit this
You
activity.
can do it on Main Street, and I think very likely you can do it on South Main at the intersection because of
Right.
how the intersection is. But as Mr. Hinckley said, it's all or none.
Right. Yeah. Kevin?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Would be a motion to prohibit this activity and direct the police chief to deny those requests.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Hate to do it, but can't see anybody get hurt.
well, especially with Slocum being worked on, traffic increasing right now, good weather, it's just gonna turn into a nightmare.
So Jamie, you'll let chief, we can do a memo and then you can send it to the chief?
Yep.
All right, next item, well, more traffic study. Victoria, our town planner, is a technical assistance grant opportunity to conduct a safety analysis of the intersection of South Main Street, and Crompton Street. I mean, I just think that whole area is an issue. So she just, again, wanted to make sure we know what she's up to over there and how her time is being used. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't allow that to go forward. There's no cost.
Mr. Chairman, I think the timing's not great with the work on Slocum Street because it's going to skew their entire findings, if you ask me personally. I'm open to safety in general, but I think if Serpent was to roll this out tomorrow, it would change the outcome of what they would determine is needed.
Okay.
Simply because with Slocum closed, the traffic's increased from every other direction on this. And less people are cutting through down to New Bedford now and cutting down onto Main Street. I think this would skew the actual information that they provide us and the assistance they would provide us.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I just don't think at the time it's necessary. I think we should wait until Slocum's done. Just because I want accurate information, I don't want inaccurate information. And especially if this results in information that they tell us we 100% need a traffic light here, the back and forth about traffic lights in this town, I'm split in the middle, but this is gonna be a huge issue if they tell us we need a traffic light and it's not correct information. Half the town's gonna get extremely mad, half of it's gonna be happy. Either way, it's not gonna be accurate information. That's just my personal opinion on this. I think we should wait until at least Slocum's wide open, done, and repaved. Then we can maybe go back and look at this,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
All right.
Is that a motion to deny the request for the grant?
So motion to deny the request.
So just tell her, like, we'll.
Yeah.
Could I suggest that we talk to Serpent and see if they can put
Put it in the queue
us
for like
off
November or
for
something.
6 months to a year, but keep the grant alive for the community?
I think that's fair.
Is this already applied for?
Why?
I can call Jeff Walker and say,
So before we make any
No.
decision, I'd like to talk to him about it. I mean, I don't want to approve something because.
no, I'm not asking for an approval. I'm just seeing if there is so much money for each community available to do these studies. Or would there be a better study that we could do?
I think Mass DOT's already done some studies on that, and everybody I talk to hates the idea of a traffic light. And you just had a resident stand right there at that podium talking about people using cut-throughs. You put a light here, that'll create a disaster on this corner.
I'm not talking about this particular, whether it's a light or what. I'm saying if they've got X amount of dollars reserved for Acushnet, let's make a call and see if we either can use it on something else or they can postpone, put the money in abeyance, hold it for us. Because we have up to $40,000 that they can give us in in-kind services. I'm not saying to use it.
Just
for-
how about you just get some more information and report back to the board?
All right.
All right. Motion on the table.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Letter from Norma York, announcing that she will be stepping down from the Agricultural Commission. Norma's a real important member of this group, and we'd be sad to see her go. She's contributed mightily. Is there a motion to accept with regret?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is from Nelson Viveros. Unfortunately, he has to step down from the Conservation Commission due to work responsibilities. Is there a motion to accept with regret?
So moved.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, just so we don't forget, I do believe we actually have a person that we ran out of spots to fill. We might have applications on file or letters of interest for
Okay.
Concom. And when Sydney gets back, I'll talk to her on that.
All right, sounds good. All right, next item here is from the DPW regarding Chapter 90 in Middlefield Place. I think, Mr. Gasper, was that the road you mentioned last time they were here?
I did, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned Middlefield Place because, as you know, that area, that's a main cut-through road from Middle Road to New Bedford, and the road's just blown all apart now. And I did just talk about it, and Dan went out and looked at this. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Menard's not here to speak on his department's behalf, but he did put a number together for Middlefield Place, and it is a note about Northfield Place, which runs off of it, it hooks off of it, forms like a Y off of Middlefield Place. And I did talk to him when he called me and said, and I said, I don't like to just keep adding things, but I did take a ride by there, and Northfield Place is not in as bad a condition as Middlefield Place, but I get what he's trying to do, and sometimes when you put things out the bid, it'll be a little bit cheaper because the person's already there instead of dragging them back in for a short run. So I did take a ride by there, and I noticed that Northfield Place, wide off Middlefield, is spidering pretty bad, and I would say, based on my experience of these kind of things, you give it one more frost season, and that road's gonna look just as bad as Middlefield. So I told Dan, if you wanna measure it up and talk to the board and see if they wanna approve Northfield, I said, I'm okay. It makes a little bit more sense by doing that because it's all being reclaimed and then paved. So you're right there, literally, right there. And I think he put something, looks like it's an additional $70,000 for Northfield Place, reclaim and pave. And then he leaves what will be the total balance of Chapter 9, 627, 843.
No?
So I guess that's what he's looking to do. And I did remind him that the board did not make a proper motion to approve said roads in the last meeting. And I think that's why he's throwing Mendel back on.
All right.
DPW spoke of Mendel was the right to complete this project with vote not taken. And would like to add Middlefield Place so completed with the same project funds taken. And then some other memo about Dan has requested Northfield to be paved and requested Chapter 90 funds. So it's unfortunate that no one's here, at least Mr. Menard, to talk about a few different things that need to be discussed when it comes to paving and putting things out to bid. But I know that I was hit with a resident's concern of flooding on Mendel Road, the last storm that went by. I know Mr. Hinckley travels that road pretty much every day, so I would defer to him when it comes to conditions of Mendel Road because that's his area of town and expertise.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, the other day when we had that really bad rainstorm, I happened to be on Mendel, and the drainage they put in along the orchards and heading towards Perry Hill did what they were supposed to do, which was nice. But when you get up towards past Garrison, so if you're heading south from Perry Hill up towards Mattapoisett, basically from Garrison on the west side of the road all the way up to Mattapoisett Road was essentially flooded with hydroplane conditions. And I was also watching water wash down people's driveways like 2 inches at a time, slamming into garage doors. So before he does reclaim and repave on Mendel, I think we need to address some kind of drainage on the east side of the road, somewhere near the Eversource easement in there at least.
Okay.
I don't know how we have to make that motion.
It's discouraging to hear that because DPW, Dan went out there, God, I'll say 2 years, maybe 3 years ago. And from the Eversource easement, that's where he started and worked his way north up Mendel to Garrison. And then he went back and did from Garrison all the way up to the fire tower that's out on Mendel Road, which is pretty far up. It's probably only a quarter mile in from Perry Hill.
Correct.
But as you alluded to, the stormwater basins are on the west side of Mendel, and you're talking about the east side, but it's disturbing of all those stormwater basins and piping that he put in isn't collecting the water appropriately. And I don't know if that's a conversation about how he tilt the roads, or does he have to go out now and spend God knows how many more, 100, 150, $200,000 more on drainage? That's not cheap. That project was not cheap, I can tell you that. And we did a lot more than what I ever envisioned being done, but if you're there, get it done and done right. But I think we need to have Mr. Menard in to talk to him about that before we
Right.
pave.
All right,
So-
so you want to do approve Middlefield and Northfield, and then ask Dan to come in to talk about Mendel?
Yeah, I guess we just put a hold on it all, Mr. Wona. He's gonna put it all out for bid, so just before it goes out to bid, I mean, get him at the next meeting, tell him he needs to be
Okay.
at the next meeting and discuss all these issues so that we're not doing things and like Mr. Hinckley's saying, we go out and pave Mendel Road and spend $500,000 and that road's still washing out and all that water's hitting the east side properties. We're not looking too good, are we?
No.
So I want to make sure that that communication happens so at least the people know that we're on it.
All right. All right, next item, next issue is Dan sent a memo regarding his budget. Look, we've set the budget. We went through a long, exhaustive process. When we say final, it's final. I understand, you might have some concerns, but I think it's somewhat speculative. But I think that, that they'll need to close, his assertion that we'll need to close the swap shop moving forward, I think that's an extreme measure. And like with anything, you can't make that determination at the start of a new fiscal year. You ride it out and you manage it accordingly. Sometimes you shut it down, you open it up, you shut it down, you open it up. But to just say that, we're gonna shut it down entirely, I don't know that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know how you guys feel, but when Dan comes in, we'll discuss that. But I think at the end of the day, the Board of Selectmen will decide whether or not it's open or closed. Agree?
Yeah, I agree too. I
Sure.
think this part, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm just saying, always want to give our employees the benefit of the doubt,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Maybe this is what he thought was a solution, but I think with anything, just gotta manage it accordingly until it becomes a problem.
Yep.
You gonna say something?
I was just gonna reiterate on that point. I said, I think we can get creative, even if it's not exactly what they want. I think, like we had suggested, figure out a way, pick some timeframes where you can shut it down if needed. But I think the swap shop is the busiest in the summer months coming up. And I think having it open in the summer would be helpful to a lot of our residents, and we can cross the bridge when we get to it.
Great. All right, so why don't we do this? Let's, on all these DPW issues, let's hold off and then ask Dan to come in at either the next meeting, or if we decide that we're gonna do a Friday meeting, but I don't know that we have any, or I'm just looking at my calendar as to when the next Selectmen's meeting would be. So we've got town meeting on what, the 16th?
Yep.
So we should, we'll meet the 9th, right?
It's a Monday.
Yep, I'm sorry, the 10th rather, the 10th. That'll be the next meeting. And do we need to have anything just on the books for like a Friday the 6th? I hate to say it, Friday the 13th. There's a run up to town meeting, just to, if there's any cleanup or any stuff that we need to do prior to town meeting.
The 6th I can work with, the 13th is the last day of school.
Okay, then we don't want to get in the way of that.
We're meeting on the 10th, aren't we? Didn't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. So if you guys are good with that, then that's
If
fine.
something, Mr. Chairman, that's your prerogative. I mean, obviously getting a hold of the board members, have the office get a hold of Mr. Hinckley's schedule.
Yep.
But if we come up 48, you gotta do meetings 48 hours, so 72 hours on a Monday, and you feel that there's something pertinent that should be on Friday and can't wait till the 10th,
Yep.
that's fine, but I would ask if you're gonna do something on the Friday, the 6th, whatever date you gave for that Friday, you get Dan in here to
Well, that
discuss
would be the
that.
point, right? That would be the
Because if we're
point.
gonna do something like that, I wanna be able to get this out while we have Mr. Kelly, so that we can sit staff down, because when you put things out to bid, you just gotta go for paving, it's got in other issues, you just gotta go on the central register, and Mr. Kelly, and I think Sydney's done it before with Mr. Kelly, but we wanna make sure that we have some staff in place to watch over the process, to make sure somebody else understands how we go about doing that. So, how it's,
Right.
for timetables like that.
And then the earlier I was suggesting that Friday is that if we had anything going on with department heads or personnel or whatever, would be for that day. We know during the day, there shouldn't be any scheduling conflicts, right? So, all right, let's see, check the
10th. Right now, the 10th.
Yeah, so we'd be looking at the June 10th.
June 10th.
Yep, June 10th at 4 o'clock.
Or possibly the 6th. That's
Yep, or the
up
6th.
to you,
Yep,
Mr.
yep,
Chairman.
yep. And I'll do it obviously. in
Clean up,
coordination with you guys.
any kind of clean up.
Stuck it in my paper. All right, nothing else. I put as a standing, town administrator, town accountant search update. I don't have anything there other than I've gone through applications and we're gonna try to get the screening committee together. But at some point, we might wanna consider whether or not we advertise for an interim, in the event that Mr. Kelly, we're not able to solve that issue. I don't see how we're gonna do that in the next month and rush through it, but just start thinking in those terms. There may be a number of people like Mr. Kelly who are retiring, but wanna, serving towns just to help them get through the transition period, so just something to think about. But I'll obviously talk to the screening committee about that. But with that said, no other further business. Any announcements, gentlemen?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I do. Just share a little update. On Saturday at noon, I was able to go to yet another Eagle Scout Code of Honor. Acushnet has another new Eagle Scout, so congratulations to Landon Medeiros. It was a really nice ceremony, and I appreciate the board allowing me to go to these as often as I can.
With that said, we were all at the Memorial Day ceremony. I neglected to publicly commend and thank Brad Fish for pulling that together. So sorry about that, Brad, but thank you. Once again, you pulled off a class act event, and so thank you for that. Agree with that, gentlemen? Any,
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion